This is News Channel 13, WNYT, Albany. And now, live for the Capital Region, Ed Dague, Chris Kapostasy, Bob McNamara with sports, and meteorologist Bob Kovachick. This is News Channel 13, live at 11.
Good evening. There's an old saying that if at first you don't succeed, try again.
That certainly pertains to the prosecution in the John Gotti case and to the defense attorneys for Eugene Mullins. Mullins is the Schenectady man who twice has been convicted of a brutal axe murder and who is now scheduled for a third trial for that same crime. Bill Lambdin has more on this strange case of the people of New York versus Eugene Mullins for the murder of Barbara Getke. Bill?
Well, Chris, it was 10 years ago this month that victim Barbara Ann Getke was found brutally hacked to death. For almost that entire decade, one-time Schenectady truck driver Eugene Mullins has been doing time for that crime, but now he gets a third chance to try to convince the jury he didn't do it. 21-year-old Barbara Getke was last seen alive about 2 a.m. one night 10 years ago, leaving the Blue Angel 2 Tavern with Eugene Mullins. A few days later, her body was found in this East Greenbush Lover's Lane. Police zeroed in on Mullins and found what they believed to be the murder weapon at his Schenectady residence.
That was pursuant to the search warrant, and it is the murder weapon.
The axe had traces of the same type blood as the victim, Barbara Getke. Along with a statement Mullins allegedly gave police, it made a strong case. He was convicted of murder. But in 1989, an appeals court ruled an improper search warrant was used to find the axe. That evidence was suppressed. No mention of it could be made at Mullins' second trial. But Mullins was convicted anyway. He appealed again. Almost 3 years later now, the court has ruled that Judge M. Andrew Dwyer erred when he limited defense efforts to mention a second axe. This one belonging to someone who was in the bar at the same time that Getke and Mullins were there. Judge Dwyer had ruled that if the defense mentioned that second axe, then the prosecution was entitled to mention the first axe, Mullins' axe, the alleged murder weapon. But the appeals court has now ruled that the defense is entitled to mention a second axe, but that since Mullins' axe was obtained through that improper search warrant, the prosecution cannot mention it at what will now be the third trial. Chris?
Any indication when that might get underway, Bill?
Well, they don't have to take as long to get a case ready since all of the work really has been done on this case before, so it could happen fairly soon. Now, although it certainly would seem there would be a third trial, authorities are going to have to consider that. I mean, the man has already done 8 or 9 years. There is at least, I guess, a slight possibility that Mullins might not be tried again. We'll have to wait and see once the authorities digest this ruling.
And that's a decision for the DA?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bill Lambdin, live in our newsroom.
Took the federal government 4 tries, but they have finally won a conviction against reputed mob boss John Gotti. A federal jury today convicted the so-called Teflon Don on murder and racketeering charges. Gotti has been tried 3 other times over the past 6 years, but always managed to avoid conviction until today. Charles Feldman has more from Brooklyn.
The jury surprised just about everyone with the speed of its deliberation, about a day and a half. The verdict is one of the biggest blows to the mafia in years. John Gotti, the so-called Dapper Don, has been found guilty of murder and racketeering and will face life in prison.
It's been a long road. Justice has been served, and it feels awfully good. The Teflon is gone. The Don is covered with Velcro, and every charge in the indictment stuck.
The jury found that Gotti helped plan the 1985 rub-out of his predecessor, Paul Castellano, then boss of the Gambino organized crime family. Gotti's former right-hand man, Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano, was the government's star witness. Gravano quit the mob and turned against his former friend. But this trial also relied heavily on some 8 hours of secretly recorded FBI tapes in which Gotti could be heard discussing his mafia family and ordering murders.
The tapes that we got opened the window into the Gambino crime family.
The jury's speedy deliberation was blasted by defense lawyers who vow an appeal.
The jury did not give adequate consideration to the defense arguments, did not give more than that, adequate consideration to the evidence and to the applicable law.
Defense lawyers say Gotti took the verdict stoically in fact, throughout the reading of the verdict, Gotti appeared to have his traditional confident smirk planted firmly on his face. Charles Feldman, CNN, New York.
Another trial involving drugs and racketeering is winding down in Miami, and that story tops tonight's World Matters report. Jury deliberations are expected to begin tomorrow afternoon in the trial of Manuel Noriega. The attorney for the former Panamanian ruler finished his case today, saying the federal indictment of Noriega is morally wrong. Prosecutors will present their rebuttal tomorrow, and then the case goes to the jury. Libya is apologizing for violent protests against foreign embassies in Tripoli, but the U.S. ambassador to the UN calls the Libyan statement profuse apologies with crocodile tears. Angry demonstrators in Tripoli today protested UN sanctions against Libya by sacking the embassies of Venezuela, and they've targeted other nations that voted for the sanctions. The Security Council is demanding that the Libyan government stop the embassy attacks and pay for the damages.
Let's get the latest on what local police and fire departments are working on tonight. I'm told there's a late-breaking story, so here with John Swantek in the News Channel 13 Operations Center. John?
Got late word from Albany police tonight, Ed, that there's been a reported shooting on McCarty Avenue just a few moments ago. We do know that at least one person has been struck by gunfire. That victim has been brought to Albany Med. One suspect, it appears, is in the custody of detectives right now. We'll pass along more details to you later in the broadcast as they become available to us. 11:06, and that's it from the Operations Center.
Another story that you may find hard to believe. There's snow out there, Bob.
There's a lot of snow in parts of Rensselaer County, and it's incredible to believe. I think we've got some videotape we shot just a short while ago coming up here, showing that east of the Hudson River, especially in the hill towns of central and eastern Rensselaer County, they've had anywhere from 5 to 9 inches of snow since 6 o'clock tonight. Places like Grafton, Post-and-Kill, Averill Park, Cherry Plain, Berlin. Roads are very treacherous right now. The snow is winding down quickly. Oh, that's incredible. We're going to have a mini snowstorm. I'll try to explain what's going on that in a few minutes. Sunrise tomorrow, 5:35. Sundown, 6:23. 2 days till daylight saving and counting. Some sunshine, clouds, 30 degrees early tomorrow morning, getting to the low 40s tomorrow afternoon. Travel okay in the morning, except if you're coming in from Rensselaer County, where it's pretty slippery and will stay so the rest of the night. More in a few minutes, Ed.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Imagine having the ability to take a needle and thread and bring into a child's life a rare gift that will last a lifetime. Well, tonight, John Gray met a special group of ladies who are doing just that.
These quilts really do show love. They're more than just a cover, you know. They're very special.
Like the quilts they mend, these special ladies are bound together. Their purpose, to create colorful treasures and offer them as gifts to needy and abused children.
Our workers tell us that they're actually shy about receiving the quilts, about taking them. The workers have to say, but look, your name is right here on the heart. And then they realize they're theirs. And once they got them, they don't give them up.
Across town at a group home, Rayshon has received hers.
It's nice to get a quilt like that because they handmade it and they're, I don't know, they're nice. I think they're nice.
The nice thing about getting this quilt was it almost felt like my parents, my teenage...
Downstairs, Wales can't say enough about his.
I love to be an American. I'm proud to be American. My father was killed in Vietnam, and it has birds on it. I'm a bird man. I have a lot of birds. I'm a bird hobbyist. And
a lot of flags. And
this one had my name on it. I said to Cynthia, I said, this is my quilt.
Most of these teens will never meet the special lady who created their gift, but the bond is definitely there.
And it means a lot to know that some kid who hasn't had a very easy life will have something warm and that shows love to them. Something made with such love and care and so warm and cuddly would surely help them to sleep at night.
In fact, one of the social workers tells a story about children who were having nightmares, frequent nightmares, abused children, and after they got the quilts, the nightmares stopped.
I'll be darned.
Really a wonderful program.
Well, with this weather, they're going to need them
unfortunately,
for weeks. Weather's not next, though. What is next is both Democratic presidential candidates coming under fire tonight. We will have the very latest from the campaign trail.
Also tonight, the latest on the ongoing battle over old bottles in Ballston Spa.
News Channel 13 is brought to you by Friends, Windows, Doors, and More in Builder Square Plaza, Central Avenue, Colony.
St. Johnsville police have now identified the decomposed body found frozen along the banks of Montgomery County Creek. Police Chief Kevin Snell says the remains are those of 48-year-old Priscilla Heaton of St. Johnsville, who disappeared last July 19th. Police have not determined the cause of death yet, but they do believe that foul play was not a factor.
New York Congressman Bob Mrazek says he has no plans to withdraw from the race for U.S. Senate. Mrazek was listed second on the list of House members who wrote bad checks, but he insists none of the 920 bad checks bounced, and he says the list itself is flawed.
There is one member who's not on the list who has 850 checks held. Another member who wrote a check apparently for $100,000 with little or no money in their account. That person is not on the list because you had to do it a certain number of months in order to qualify for the list. This was an absurd, surrealistic, Kafkaesque, and ultimately not very important issue in the context of the lives of people in this state.
Mrazek joins Geraldine Ferraro, Robert Abrams, Elizabeth Holtzman, and the Reverend Al Sharpton in the race against Alphonse D'Amato.
Campaign offices for Democratic presidential candidate Jerry Brown are open for business in Albany tonight. Brown staffers say the candidate's rally last week in Albany has attracted a lot of supporters to the campaign. But as we head into the final days before the New York primary, not all of the attention Brown is generating is favorable. The candidate was heckled today at a reception by Jewish community relations organizations in New York City, and the downstate assemblyman is criticizing Brown for choosing Jesse Jackson as a potential running mate. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton will be in Albany on Saturday for a meeting with Governor Cuomo. A new poll out tonight says Governor Clinton is more vulnerable to campaign attacks than President Bush is. The poll was conducted nationwide by the Times Mirror Center for the People and the Press. It found Clinton is more vulnerable to attacks on his character than George Bush is to criticism about his shortcomings as president. Also a reminder that you can hear Governor Clinton and Jerry Brown in a debate Sunday morning here on News Channel 13 beginning at 11 o'clock. That one-hour program will be broadcast live from New York City.
The National Bottle Museum has been ordered by a state judge to vacate its headquarters. State Supreme Court Judge Lauren Brown ruled last week that the museum has until July 1st to move out of its home in Ballston Spa. The nonprofit organization that owns the building asked for the eviction. Museum officials hope to relocate their collection to Saratoga Springs. Bob Kovachick standing by with the forecast.
I'm sure to the utter wonderment of people in Grafton, he says there are signs of spring on the horizon. Details right after this.
There's hope.
Yes. To the weather, where if you live in Rensselaer County, if it's any consolation, there's a certain area meteorologist snowed in along with you. I won't say who, but he better start shoveling now if he's going to get to work on time.
With the initials NS.
You're very, very warm.
5 inches of snow in Averill Park, or more, as I understand. Strange night. We'll kind of show you what's going on. Just a mini snowstorm. Let's first talk about what's happening, because much of the area is dry and no travel problems. 45 the high, 26 the low. Normal 51, 31, record high 69, record low 17 above. Cloudy 32 now, 66% relative humidity. Barometer is beginning to fall again. Winds are still kicking up, northwest 18, gust 24. And yes, Rensselaer County, we've had only a trace of snow at the Albany County Airport. Let's show you the map, and again, this is really kind of tough to explain. Sometimes these mini or micro weather systems that develop are really tough to forecast, to be honest with you, but it looks like what's happened during the evening is a northwest to west wind flow coming across the Mohawk Valley and then piling into the hills of Rensselaer County. Moist air, you hit the Hoosick and Taconic Range, you lift up that moist air, boom. Physics say it has to come out as snow. Just a small area of basically the hill towns of central and eastern Rensselaer County got quite a bit of snow. Averill Park over 5 inches. This was as of about an hour ago, some of these amounts. Grafton and Berlin over half a foot. Cherry Plain 7+. Steventown 7+, and Post-and-Kill 7.5, although just a short while ago, an update from Post-and-Kill, 9 inches of snow, his biggest storm of the winter in Post-and-Kill in early April. Well, in any event, it's a very small area of snow, diminishing quickly now, spreading off to the east and dying down, generally dry in much of the area, breezy and cold. Here's the big radar picture showing the dying snow squalls in eastern Rensselaer County. Let's home in on that. with the Weather Service radar from the Albany County Airport. This was a much larger area an hour or two ago, but it is still snowing in central and eastern Rensselaer County, perhaps into extreme western Berkshire County now along the Taconic Range. Those snow showers are gradually dying out and will be out of the picture in the next hour or two. But travel tonight and first thing rush hour tomorrow morning going out to Rensselaer County or coming in from Rensselaer County to Albany, Schenectady, and Troy. Some of the roads will be tricky. Let's go back to the weather maps now and see what's going on. National weather scene, storms sitting off the east coast, still swirling the chilly air into the region. Will do so into the weekend. But very strong signs to me tonight of a warm-up. Look at these temperatures. 5 times in March and early April, it's been above 70 out in the northern Rockies and northernmost northwestern part of the country. 80 up at Spokane today. Real warm air. Not going to get that warm here, but I do think the milder air will creep across the northern half of the country, and it will warm up here, 50s, maybe 60, early to midweek next week. Back with the forecast in a moment.
Start with these pretty spring dresses on sale, 1/3 to 1/2 off Burlington's original low prices. So what are you waiting for?
All right, my forecast for the majority of the area, it's dry, cloudy, and chilly tonight. Those squalls in Rensselaer County between here and Berkshire County diminishing and ending soon, 23 to 28. Tomorrow, like today, clouds, occasional sun, breezy, cold, a flurry, northwest wind, gusty, 38, 43. Tomorrow night, pretty cold again, partly clear, 20 to 25. Saturday, lots of clouds, probably more clouds than sun, chilly, rain or snow showers in the 40s. But then a warm-up begins. Daylight saving also begins early Sunday morning, high 47. Monday, 54. Tuesday, 59. We're headed in the right direction for a warm-up next week. Not saying it's going to last, but at least we'll get a little taste, I think.
And what good does that do Norm now?
Right. What good does it do Norm now? He loves driving four-wheeling in on the roads at 5:30 in the morning.
He wishes 5:30. Try 4.
Oh, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, good
He's
luck.
on the air at 6:30, right? Thank you.
What color is that page?
Head and sports. You know, I have a feeling that Mr. Cerruti's first name is Albany left-hander John.
John, right.
Anyway, the Boston Red Sox have made a decision on the Albany left-hander.
Also tonight, the Knicks try to rebound in Charlotte, and a terrific crowd at the Knicks tonight for the NCAA Final Four hockey action. Mac with it all next.
Well, this is great news for the Knicks. Big success for the NCAA double Final Four.
Final Four. It's such a delight to see. The hockey has been...
If RPI was there.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to get near the place.
Within a block of it. But they're doing pretty well as is, crowd-wise and hockey-wise. Restaurants aren't complaining either, come to think of it. Business in Albany tonight, believe me, is booming. In all, crowds of 20,000 and change turned out today for the start of the Final Four. Tonight, over 11,000 there to see Jason Francisco score a pair of goals. He one of them there as Wisconsin knocked over Michigan 4-2. The 11,000, the biggest crowd ever to see a hockey game here. Here's Francisco's second goal, and it turned out to be the gamer. Steve Shields out of position and laying flat on the ice, and Francisco drills him. That was it. Wisconsin and Lake Superior State for the title at 8:05 Saturday night. Earlier today, close to 10,000 on hand for a 2 o'clock opener. And they saw beauty as Lake Superior State and Hobie Baker candidate goalie Darren Midley. What a player he has, put on a show in a 4-2 win over Michigan State. Here's the gamer. The Lakers broke a 2-2 tie in the final period. Came off the stick of Mark Ashley on a deflection from a scramble in front of the net. So, identical scores today. Lake Superior 4-2 over Michigan State. Ditto Wisconsin over Michigan. Title game again Saturday night at the Neck. In basketball tonight, the Knicks edge closer to their first divisional title in years with a 21-point win over Charlotte. They own that club. Patrick Ewing scoring on the perfectly executed alley-oop. Is that beautiful? He had himself a beautiful game. 25 points plus 14 rebounds. Starks had 16 points. Jackson and the X had 15 each. The final, 117-96. Meantime, Cleveland 17 over the L.A. Clippers. Veteran Albany left-hander John Cerruti told News Channel 13 tonight that the Boston Red Sox have decided to send him to Pawtucket. He is very disappointed. That's putting it mildly. Cerruti had a good spring, and he thought for sure he had that club made. Cerruti, who spent most of last season with the Tigers, said it was between he and Tom Bolton for a left-handed long relief, and Boston opted for Bolton. Cerruti says he's been given a $50,000 contract to pitch in Pawtucket. He says he'll live with it for the time being, because if they call him up He says a $450,000 deal would snap in. The latest tonight on the pro hockey strike is that they are at a near impasse, but that they are still talking. Nobody wants to settle any more than the players. They made 2 counteroffers today in an effort to settle it, and the owner said, nothing doing. Here at home, the Pittsfield Mets of the Class A New York Penn League have been sold. The Mets, who play at Wacona Park, have been sold by the CDM Corporation of Pittsfield to a group of New York City businessmen headed by accountant William Gladstone. The club was sold for $850,000. There's a news conference Saturday, by the way, to announce the whole thing. Another top-of-the-line local talent heading to Union College in Schenectady, turning out to be a terrific recruiting year for Coach Bill Scanlon. Now he's all set with Shaker standout Jamie Haver here. Haver is shooting guard, one of the big reasons why Shaker won his first sectional title in years. He averaged over 17 a game. And those close to Shaq O'Neal are saying tonight he definitely is going pro. The great center from LSU has called a news conference for tomorrow. They say he'll announce it then. As Coach Dale Brown, by the way, is encouraging him to do it. And the Yankees tonight send Hensley Mullins down to Columbus.
Does he remind you of Charles Barkley?
Not in any way at all. For one thing, he has a hole in his glove.
Thanks,
he dribbles fine.
We're going to be right back, and we'll update tonight's top story.
Also, we're going to check in with John Swantek again in the Operations Center.